Are there any public comments? Mr. John Glover.
Thank you and good evening. John Glover, 9100 Walker Road, apartment 217, Shreveport, 71118. As I went over your agenda for today, two items here that you all will be discussing: the contract for the debris management services and the city council raise inquiry. Now, because I don't know your positions and what you will say, it makes it kind of hard for me to have a comment that would actually be of worth in this particular setting at this particular moment. So I would ask, just asking, that once you all make your communications known to us, the public, if at that time we have a question with regards to what has or has not gone through the way we think it should or should not, that we would be allowed to have a voice. If not, I can already tell you that if it were me and I thought that the city council raise was going to be an issue, and I see there are 4 members on this committee, then I would think that that was going to be a disadvantage already. Because based on those who are involved and then relying on those who are not, I don't know how we would actually be met with a real determination with regards to that. Again, I can't speak to the debris management contract because I don't know the specifics to what you're going to be discussing. And until such is brought forward, then there's nothing that I, as a citizen, could say that would have any bearing on what you may say, because I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay, seeing none. First agenda item is the debris management service contract. That was added to the agenda late last year. City Council passed a resolution that stated any contract over $1 million must come before City Council. That was designed to make sure that all contracts over $1 million were transparent, that the public had a chance to vet those contracts prior to them being signed by the mayor. That was not done so in a debris management contract. So I'm going to allow Mr. Tom Dart to give the administration's explanation as to why, and then I'll give my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I'm trying to get it there, John. Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The way the section in the code reads, it says basically all contracts over $1 million shall be approved. Contracts or expenditures procured through an invitation for bid or any emergency purchase authorized by the City of Shreveport Purchasing Rules and Regulations Manual, approved by the council or other law. Since that ordinance was passed, there has not been an occasion where a contract over $1 million actually had come before you. And so we were not sure when we got to this one whether that was something we should do or should not do. The mayor and I specifically looked at the ordinance. We looked at what was there. We believe that his emergency declaration covered that. As I stated to your auditor, if you all wanted to, for purposes of cleaning this up, if you thought you needed to, we would be happy to prepare you a resolution that would ratify the mayor's signature on the agreement, and actually probably could get it to you in time to put it on your agenda tomorrow if you wanted to. You couldn't vote on it for 2 weeks, but our position was we needed to get the stuff off the street, that it really was an emergency. We were told if you leave it there too long, you're going to have either vermin or fire issues. Take your choice. And our feeling was we needed to get it done as quickly as we did. We basically went from a storm that nobody imagined on June 16th to an RFP out a week later, and a week after that having a contractor selected. We got a number of really competitive proposals from a number of quite qualified contractors. So, I mean, we think we did the right things, but again, this is kind of a gray area because, we thought it was an emergency. We would stand by that because it clearly was. But again, we would be more than happy, should you choose to ask us to do that, to get you a resolution for tomorrow that would let you ratify that. And I'd be glad to answer any questions on that one.
Anybody have any comments? Okay, I will be asking council to vote unanimously to ratify the mayor's signature, just to make sure that we're clear. My only concern is, even though it was declared a state of emergency, when we talk about picking up debris pickup, I don't want it to be lost in translation as if that needed to happen right then and there. If the stuff off the street had to be picked up, was that the immediate emergency? So I just want to make sure that we can ratify that, so we're clear and we're not in any charter violations. But I just want to keep the floor open if anybody else have any comments or thoughts to that as well.
So I think the other choice we probably could have made would have been to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and have the mayor sign it. Let's go ahead and immediately put a resolution before you, which you couldn't have adopted till your last meeting in July. By then they would have been working 10 days. So it would have been a ratification, I think, either way. So we're not asking, this vote you would be doing is not likely to be something different than we were. We're, obviously the results don't have anything to do with whether the law is what it is, but we're trying to, I think we're quite happy with the way this one, as far as the debris pickup itself turned out.
Okay, well, please move forward with that legislation, and then I will make that adoption to
Do my
get
best
it
to have it to
added.
the clerk in the morning.
Okay, thank you. City raise inquiry. I released this statement. I'm gonna go ahead and read it now, and then I'll open up the floor for discussion. For the last week, there has been a great deal of discussion concerning the chairman of City Council issuing pay raises to the City Council staff and whether he was required to get full consensus of the City Council. Much emphasis has been placed on Section 4.12 of the Shreveport City Charter, which states in relevant part, the council may employ and fix the salaries of such employees as necessary for the exercise of this function as set out in the charter. What has not been discussed as much is Section 2.3 of the Code of Ordinance, Council Rules of Procedure. This states that the chair shall supervise all employees of council. As noted by the city attorney, the ordinance is not clear on what supervising means and entails. What is clear is, however, the past chairs of city council have interpreted this supervisory authority to include the ability to unilaterally give council employees raises where the money has been already approved. We know this because, as evidenced by the attached memos, which I will give copies to everyone, past chairs have solely and unilaterally submitted letters to Human Resources Department authorizing raise, letters which are almost identical to the letter submitted by the present chair, which is also clear in these raises were given by the chair without a council vote. There are no records in past meeting agendas or minutes that there have ever been a council vote approving a raise for a specific council employee or position. Furthermore, no chair can privately poll or get a consensus by the entire council on any public matter. This is a direct violation of the Louisiana Open Meetings Law, which requires that any time a majority of city council deliberates or takes action on a public matter, these deliberations or actions must be open to the public. So raises issued to a private consensus of council members are illegal. I do agree that council should establish a clear procedure on how raises are issued, and I plan to work with the city attorney's office to establish these procedures. However, Chairman Green acted in full conformity with conduct and practice of the chairman and came before him. And because of this, I believe he had the authority to issue the pay raises of the city council. To say or imply that he did something wrong or that deviates from the actions of past chairs is false. I'm going to pass out letters from previous chairs to the Audit and Finance Committee so they can have that as a copy of their records. These letters have already been made available to the public. Let's see.
You need one of this stuff?
So I will read the first two letters and the date.
Yeah, he's missing. I just gave mine away.
First letter dated January 6, 2020, to the Human Resources Office from Jerry Bowman, City Council Chair. Subject, City Council staff raises. I didn't put that one in there. I didn't put that one in there.
No, they're gonna bring some down. They
Yeah.
just haven't got out here with them yet.
So the first letter dated January 6, 2020, from Jerry Bowman, City Council Chair. Subject, City Council staff raises. The City Council raises were initiated and approved by the Chairman of the City Council because of increased demand and expectations by the staff, the current members of City Council, by the staff, by the current members of City Council. That was signed by Jerry Bowman, City Council Chair. Second letter dated July 28th, 2021, addressed to the Human Resource Office from our late Councilman James Fleury, City Council Chair. Subject matter, City Council staff raise. The City Council staff raise were initiated and approved by the Chairman of Council. Signed by James Fleury, City Council Chair. The raise that Chairman Green, he initiated and signed the letter, also stating that on the same letterhead, it was sent over to the administration who approved it. It was sent to HR who approved it, because that has been the standard, that has been the practice, that has been the power of all our chairs that have previously gone before us. If I can ask the city attorney to step up to the mic for me, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So we had a brief conversation, and that's when I asked you to actually give your legal opinion. At the tail end of that conversation, I made these statements. I said that we do know one thing for certain. City raises for council staff has never come to a council vote. So we do know for certain that that was not the process, because it has never happened, yet we do know that they have received raises in the past. What I didn't know at that time when we had this conversation was what was the process. So one of my last statements was make sure that you thoroughly research so we'll know what the process is prior to releasing your statement. I didn't want to end up in the position that we ended up in now, so I was relying on your expertise to be able to guide us. In your statement, you stated that you did not feel like he had the authority, and you cited section 4.12. What I'm asking now is that you review the past procedures, you take a look at these letters, which came from the HR department, which is held with the administration, and that you consider that opinion again. Because it's my belief as the Audit and Finance Chair that our chair had the power, because our previous chairs have enacted on that power. I do agree with you. We do need to clear it up so there's no continued guesswork, but I believe that if we just did a little more research before jumping the gun, we wouldn't be in the position that we are in now.
Thank you, Councilman Jackson, for an opportunity to speak on this matter. I certainly agree that we need to come up with some policies and procedures to avoid any continued guesswork going forward. While certainly, and I don't mind telling you that I have not, and my office has not undertaken full due diligence or a thorough investigation or inquiry into what took place in this particular situation. I do want to say that conversations, information gathering has taken place about some previous raises, including the 13% raise that went to all the city employees, as well as some raises that went to just council staff. And as it pertains to the memos that you've passed out today, a quick glance at them suggests absolutely that it was in fact under the signature of the chair at the time that some previous raises went forward mechanically. What further research I will also continue to do is to determine the extent to which there was polling, as you mentioned in your media advisory from previous chairs and perhaps by previous clerks, to the extent to which previous clerks were involved in advocating for or gathering consensus for raises for the city council clerk's office.
Now, you do know, which I know you know, there's no way to gather a consensus of the Shreveport Council without a vote. So there's current members, a part of this council that were on city council when these raises were given. And so I would assume that nobody was a part of in violating any open meetings laws. So I don't think that anybody would have gathered any type of consensus or will go on the record and say, yes, I did say I would support a raise if that did not actually come to a vote. So that's what we was looking for your research, and it has not turned up that anything has come to a vote, which is what our conversation was.
I certainly agree that there is no process by which a public body, including the city council, can make a determination other than a vote. I do want to make one additional point, and that's simply that my opinion does not use the word illegal. And I want to be clear that the word that my opinion used is the word unauthorized. The
Correct.
question is whether or not the raises were authorized by the council. I've made no waves in any direction whatsoever about what is and isn't legal or illegal.
Right.
Just want to be
And
clear
so
on
we're
that.
not caught up in language authorized by the council, correct?
Correct.
What we're trying to establish for the record, does the chair have authorization to issue and act alone and issue raises? And the documents that you have before you shows that previous chairs have had that authority under the guidelines of supervising the council staff. So that's what we was trying to determine.
I think previous chairs have done it.
Yes.
I don't think that necessarily means that previous chairs had authorization to do it.
Okay.
But I'm happy to look deeper into it. I'm happy to stay engaged with you on it and continue to answer whatever questions this council has, this committee has, and moving forward, whatever level of investigation is required or requested to cooperate and coordinate to the best of my ability.
Comments?
We all-
Councilwoman Bowman.
We all know that the procedure was not right, whether it was past chair or the chair before. What we asked everyone to do, let's move forward and put procedures in place. Because that's why I asked for the investigation not to go on. But now a lot of other things have come, I know everybody's heard of the saying, some people get caught, some people don't. It is what it is. But in the meantime, other accusations have been happening about a $75,000 monies that was sitting there that wasn't appropriated for that. So now, my opinion was we didn't need an investigation, but since it's still talk and, a fish with a closed mouth never get caught. But since a lot of talk has been going on, it's clear that we do need an investigation. It's crystal clear. I mean, just FYI. Thank you.
So with my one sheet of paper, all I did was what I thought was right to do. I didn't know about the gray area. I just knew what I knew or what I thought I knew. Once I did it, once it was brought to my attention that it was possibly unauthorized, I was not authorized to do it. I had a press conference. I admitted that I took full responsibility of it. I apologized to every council member. I apologized to the staff upstairs. So, Mr. Attorney, I've reached a point where what else can I do? It's like I can never make that right, or I can never make that wrong. So from what I have done, I was the one who assumed. So in assuming, then that gray area is there. I've asked the clerk to start working with you and your office to clear it up so that won't ever have, whoever is next, they will never have this again. But when you want to investigate me, I don't have nothing else to say. I'm drained. I've tried to put it as clear as I possibly could. I don't know about $75,000. I don't know about zero. All I know is I assume that I could give those folk a raise for their work. If it wasn't no them, we wouldn't have a city council meeting. If it wasn't no them, if you just leave them out of the picture tomorrow, there would be no agenda, there would be no meeting, because they are just that important. The administration gives them their information, everything comes to them. They do it all. It seems simple because they make it so simple. It seemed like, oh man, that's just a piece of cake, and why we pay them that and why this? Well, my grandmama used to say, you don't miss your water until your well run dry. Those folk up there put together everything to take care of resolutions, ordinance for the city of Shreveport. You will never have this agenda late. You will never have, anybody can make an error, but they are top of the line. And all I felt in my heart, that since Ralph go to meetings at night, he go community meeting, anybody can call him, he right there, taking pictures, doing whatever they ask. I mean, whatever time of night, whatever time of day, today, tomorrow, if we have a long meeting from whatever time, those individuals, they can't go home until everything is set. How much value is time? You know, sometimes in life, you know, you want to help people and you get destroyed for trying to help. I didn't have an ulterior motive. All I know is we had some money. All I know is when I come up here and sign all of the the resolutions, the agenda items that need to be signed, they are working. I have never asked one of them to do something that they did not do. I don't think another councilman could say, well, I asked for this and I asked for that. They are top of the line. I was talking to Gary a few minutes ago about what they do, because Art Thompson so developed them and developed that office. If it were not for Art Thompson, whereas you got however many, 5 people up there to do what they do to make this deal work, you would probably need about 15 or 20, because they are engaged in doing a super job and they work for the public. They have been totally embarrassed because they said whatever went out to the press seemed as though there was an attack on them. I don't know how to fix that with them. All I know is James Green assumed that he was doing something good. It's not something that you publicize. It's not that you're putting one department over another. It's not that somebody else's work is not important as theirs. It was just that you had the opportunity to help some folk who I feel in my heart, they don't get enough pay. But that's just me. But they had that, split it among them the best that we could, that everybody got something, because 80% of something is better than 100% of nothing. I've discovered in life, this mic right here, if I choose to make something wrong with it, I can. So right always come, or wrong always come in the perception. It's like, I don't want a raise. I never fought for a raise. I fought against a raise because I signed up to do this job for this. I could understand if I took a raise for myself, but I was helping somebody else. I thought that if a person comes out and stand up and say, I am sorry, I apologize, I did it. Say, well, but we got to investigate going up the chain. It left my hand, went to Tanya. She carried upstairs, gave it to HR. That was it. So if we want to pay somebody $50, $75, $100,000 to investigate one sheet of paper, I don't understand. All I can say, it's like I've had a lynching party. There's nothing nobody else can say about me to say, well, he did this and he was wrong and he was there. I've had it all from both sides. I've had whatever. So what else do I do? It's like, attorney, you say, well, there's a gray area. What's defined as gray?
The procedures, to be clear, the city attorney's office has no position and expressed no position on the value of the work that's done by the city council's staff and will not. The only thing that we talked about was the process and the procedure. So the gray area here is just to define what the procedure should be going forward.
Exactly. So you being an astute attorney, do you just lynch a person for making a mistake in a gray area? It's not like it's in black and white to say, James Green, you can't do this. But there's a gray area said, maybe could, maybe couldn't. So maybe did. But the truth is, I did. But I took responsibility of it. I didn't give no poor apology. I meant it from my heart. And that's how I was raised by my grandmama. So once I always thought that once you give an apology, a true apology, and you try to make things right by saying, let's set the standards, let's get it all in place. We know what we've done here. So how do we move from this? Do we continue to beat a dead horse? I'd rather for somebody to just cuss me out instead of just going up there beating on those women. I mean, what is it that you want me to do? Do you want me to do another press conference? Do you want me to stand up buck naked? What is it that I could do that would put things in order? We got so much work to do. I admit it. Possibly I made a mistake. If I did, I am sorry. So what comes after sorry? I don't know. But that's where I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just for the record, I never said any of these girls don't do a good job. There was one reason why I want to move forward, so they could move forward and do their own job. That was my reason. So for the record, I never said they didn't do a good job. I've never heard any other council member say they didn't do a good job. But my one question is, Ralph Johnson got an evaluation from Ms. Fleming. She told him he had not done one thing right since he's been here, not one thing. So we're on a job, you do not one thing right.
If I could interrupt you, Councilwoman, that sounds like the sort of matter that might be better for executive session.
Okay, I respect your feelings, but once we're putting all this stuff out here, no one said the council members, the council staff hadn't did anything. But like we said, it's a lot of questions that need to be answered. When the chairman apologized, I accepted his apology. That's why I said, let's move forward as of Wednesday. Let's leave out of here as a council so we can move forward as a council, as we can move forward as a city, and the clerks can move forward. So today opened up a whole nother can of worms. So just to be exact, I understood what the chairman said. I understood the clerks need to move forward and also the council. So this here opened up some more worms there to me. I have to be clear on everything. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Bowman, I think what we're trying to do is reestablish trust, number one, for the community, for Shreveport. They need to see that we're gonna be level-headed enough to look at all the facts and make the right decision. With the memos that you have before you, number one, I believe all of us owes James Green, Chairman Green, an apology in the sense of he simply did what previous chairs have done before. That was the only established protocol. Now, whether those chairs were right or wrong is up to the interpretation, and I'm going to leave that to the city attorney, whose job is to help us understand and interpret the charter. But he simply did what he saw his predecessors do. So with that being said, I think we owe you an apology for accusing you of just going rogue and doing whatever you want to do. That was not what you did. That was not your intention. I truly believe now, based on the documentation that has been presented before me, that you truly were acting in the best interest of this council, using your authorities that those have done before you. Now, if those individuals was wrong in the past, then we need to set a clear standard moving forward so nobody who sits in the chair seats will ever make that mistake again. So I don't feel like it's something you need to apologize for. I feel like we should be apologizing to you and making sure that we're looking at our rules and procedures and making sure that it's clear and crystal for anyone to follow, because anybody could have made that mistake.
Bowman, you said that, did I do something today? Cause I have not talked to nobody about nothing. In fact, I've been out at the church, had my radio show. I don't know nothing about no $75,000.
You have never did anything. When I talked to you Friday, me and you had a great discussion between me and you.
Yes, ma'am.
Since then, some things have came up about a $75,000 and we can,
They said I done got 75,000.
no, it was nothing about you. It was just about this raise. That's why I wish Wednesday, when we left here Wednesday, that everybody would have just moved forward. But just to let you know, me and you talked on Friday.
Ma'am.
We all can feel the way we want to feel, if we want to apologize or if we don't. We have to get that understanding. I can't make Councilman Jackson feel the way I feel. I can't make you feel the way that you feel. We all have different values. We have the different outlooks. It don't mean that you get mad or you get in your feelings, because we're not going to always feel the same. I mean, we can say we are, but we're not. But just for the record, Chairman, I don't feel like you did anything that the other previous council didn't do. And that's what I kept saying. Y'all, let's work together and put some procedures in place so we can move forward.
Yes, ma'am. And Councilman Bucci, I'd just like to address something that you had said on your interview. The reason that I didn't wait for Tuesday, that I did my press conference, is because I saw it getting all out of hand. And I prayed and I asked God, what is it that I need to do? And I called Miss Flemings as soon as they got to the office and said, I got to call a press conference. Just me, nobody else. I told her what the subject would be. And that was it. I didn't need nobody to stand up there to hold my hand. I wanted to take full responsibility for it. If I thought that I could have made it until Monday or Tuesday to talk to you all, to say I'm sorry and to apologize, I would have. But in my thinking and in my meditation, if I had waited until today, it's just like every day something else happening. If I had waited past Tuesday, then I just think it would have been unbelievable what people were saying. Meant no disrespect to this council, because I respect everybody up here. I just wanted the general public to know that nobody advised me to do it. I knew that people were saying whatever, but nobody advised me to do it. It was just something that I just wanted to do. As to helping people, to say thank you. Wasn't no disrespect to say, well, should have waited till Tuesday. I just didn't feel like, in good conscience, that I would let this city go without my voice saying what I said, because it was me who did it. And that's why I did what I did Tuesday. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I think maybe my comment was misunderstood. I agree that you probably needed to do that press conference when you did it. I think that that was a smart move on your part. What I was referring to is if these raises were given in June, we didn't know anything about it until August. That's what I was referring to. I would have liked to have had a phone call. Hey, I gave the staff this or did that, whatever. That's what I was referring to.
Well, what happened is I signed the paper on June 27th.
Okay.
And so they went through the process. I was trying to figure out a way without breaking the law to do what you just said. But the law said that if I did whatever, call and poll and whatever, then I openly break the law. So I know what the law said. So I did not want to break the law. So I was basically looking for a good time to say it. And so therefore, before that good time could come, then everything was just zapped. But it was nothing that I was trying to do secret. It wasn't nothing that I was trying to do with a bad motive. I just was trying to bless them. And that's all I was trying to do. I wish I had hindsight. I would have thought about doing it another way. But at that time, what happened is if you didn't do it in June, then that would go into the next cycle of the budget or whatever. So I didn't want that to be clogged in. I just wanted to go in and do it. Meant no harm, meant no disrespect.
Well, that's what the statement was in relation to that, it had taken some time and that we didn't know. That's what the statement, that I made. It was nothing against your press conference. I think that was a good idea. And then a second point that I would like to point out, the investigation in my mind, and several constituents had contacted us. I was not necessarily for putting it back on the agenda this time around because we've already voted on it. One of the reasons, though, that I agreed to have my name on there is because actually, and I've said this to other council members and I've said it to Mr. Dark, if there were impropriety somewhere, not with you, because there's a lot of allegations that are going around that you were set up. I mean, I've seen text message after.
Ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I mean, can I pause?
Mhm.
In fact, Mr. Tom Dark and I had this conversation on Friday because I got word that Mr. Tom Dark instigated the whole investigation.
That's what I was
did.
hearing as well.
So, Mr. Dark, if you don't mind, would you just tell the general public what you told me? I wasn't bringing it up, but since as I'm from the country, and since it's been brung up, would you just speak
Well,
to that?
Can I finish
Yes, sir.
what I was saying first?
Yes, and then he'll do.
So the reason that I agreed to do the investigation again, or at least to put it on the agenda, was, look, I don't agree that you gave the raises. I don't. We can disagree on that. I don't think it was malice, and I don't think you did anything illegal or anything like that, for the record. But if you were set up, then we need to know about it. So that's the reason that I wanted to put it on there,
I was set up.
was to try to vindicate you.
Yes, no,
I want that to be on the record. And I actually told Mr. Dark that. I've told Councilman Brooks, I've told Councilwoman Bowman, I've told Councilman Talaferro that if there is a snake in the hen house, regardless of where it is, using that country stuff, then we need to find out who it is
well,
or what it is.
let me just say this. I really appreciate that, but I'm good. I done been beat up enough, so I'm vindicated. I believe this. This is what I believe. That no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Never said they wouldn't be formed, But he said they ain't going nowhere. This is what I believe. I said it in my press conference. There was a guy who planted some good seeds. Very good seeds. He planted them. But after a while, the seeds came up. And his servants came to him and said, man, master, didn't we plant good seeds? He said, yeah. Well, what happened? He said, while we slept, the enemy came and put in some bad seed. This is what I believe in my heart. That there's a God. And we don't have to protect ourselves. Because he is the one who is responsible for us. He knows what happened. He knows my heart. He knows everybody's heart. He knows who planted this, who said this. He knows. And I'm going to leave it to God. All I want is to have peace on the council. All I want is to do the citizens' business. That's all I want. Mr. Dark, and all I want is Mr. Dark to make his step.
Thank you, sir. We did have a conversation on Friday because there are people in the community who say, for reasons that I do not understand, that somehow either I or the director of HR or some combination of us set y'all up with this. I can tell you the first time I knew that the pay raises had been given when I got a phone call last weekend, the weekend before now. And as best I can tell, and I've seen all the copies of the payroll documents, they were properly signed by the chairman. They were correct. The HR people had no reason to believe there was some reason they shouldn't approve them. And so they processed them. But I can't find any evidence whatever of any smoking guns or anything else. What you all choose to pay your employees is not an administration matter. And we wouldn't have been involved in it in one way or the other. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, Mr. Dart, Mr. Dart, that they didn't stop it because that has always been the standard process. It was nothing new to them. So that's what they was just going by. I think your name got looped in is because it's not a known secret that other city employees have received raises. It's not a known secret that you sent out communications to departments letting people know that they had money in their budgets. So when we go back to the 75,000, the Councilwoman Bowman was mentioning, let's take a step back. City Council has the power to approve the budget. Once the budget is approved, then any department is allowed to spend money within their budget. What you can't do is move money from one line item to another line item without council approval. So if there's money in there for salaries and you decide to give somebody a raise, you don't have to come back before City Council. That's 100% your right to spend your salary money however you see fit. So there was money left in the City Council budget outlined under salaries. So as previous chairs have done in the past, and what Chairman Green attempted to do this year was spend that salary money by offering raises. That was simply the process. That was simply what he was done. So I think some people thought because the process went so smoothly, everything was signed off on it, and they actually got the raise on their paycheck, that he was, being set up. I don't believe that either. I just feel like he was just following the process that was done in the past.
And Councilman Butcher, also, I'd like to say this. Jackie knew because she deals with the budget. Tanya knew when Jackie told her and she brought me the sheet to sign. RJ and Shanerica, Terry, rest of them, they didn't know until they got their check. I didn't even discuss it with them. It ain't like I went to each one of them and said, look, I'm going to give you nobody came to me and asked me for it. And I said to those two individuals, when they get their raise, God bless them. That's all. RJ is back there in the back. I didn't go to RJ and said, hey, man, I'm giving you a raise. RJ never came to me and said nothing about any money. Generica, she didn't know. They didn't know until they got it on their check. It wasn't like I went around after you did this, then my chest is out. Hey, I gave y'all a raise and such and such. No, I gave it and I was done with it. When you do good, You just do it and let the Lord do the rest. That's all I wanted, Councilman Butcher.
So,
If there was a way that I could have come to each one of you and said whatever, I would have. But I did it the way that I thought it was supposed to have been done. And that's it.
thank you. One last issue, before we adjourn that was recently brought to my attention. If I can get the city attorney back up here, please. I'm asking your office to definitely research this matter and the audit and finance to take a look at it as well, because I want to make sure that we're not having another charter violation. So the question that was posed to me, Attorney Edwards, you were hired July 1st. It appears that Ms. Tucker is still working for the city in some type of legal capacity. Are you able to answer that question?
She's working for the city. She's not in a legal capacity.
Seriously, she's not working in the legal capacity at all.
That's correct. She's not working she's not working in the city attorney's office. She's not
Okay,
working.
she's not listed as a legal administrator.
No, no longer. She, that was a discrepancy that was pointed out to me by Councilwoman Taylor. And once that was brought to my attention, it's been, Miss Tucker was reassigned as a special advisor, special assistant to the mayor, and has not been doing legal work for the city attorney's office, has not been working for the city attorney's office since that time. She's on the agenda to be confirmed as an assistant city attorney, but until such time as she's confirmed, she will not be doing legal work.
And I will be asking for that vote to be postponed just to make sure that we receive your documentation as to when she was a legal administrator, because that was not confirmed by council, and when was her title changed as it relates to HR.
I can try to get you that documentation today.
Thank you. Hold on, any questions? Okay, thank you. Are there any questions before we adjourn this meeting?
Public comments?
Do y'all want to do public comments? Ms. Glover?
I want to first off, I guess I don't have to say my name again, do I?
No, no, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to commend the conversation that you all just engaged. I still have my ruthers about how things have come about. I do appreciate your, Councilman Jackson, going to the lengths that you have to bring these documents to us. But again, even with the documents, there is language there that doesn't make a lot of sense too. At the end of the day, it was never about probably feeling like you were crucified, Chairman Green. No, we're not going to go that direction. But what I will say is this: when something happens and the public is brought attention to it, we're going to question it. And I think that's our right as citizens to question what we see. You know, we can go back and we can say, well, this person took this position at this particular time. So show me the merits that says they need this increase. You see what I'm saying? See, you just took your job in January and I give you a substantial raise 6 to 7 months later. That makes no sense. Not in anybody's book. At the end of the day, as Councilwoman Bowman has said, we definitely need to get those procedures in place, but we don't need our city attorney doing an investigation. We need an outside investigation. See, that investigation had nothing to do with your actions per se, Chairman Green. It had to do with the processes and the procedures that are going on behind the scenes. See, because if this action happened, and with these 4 documents you have just shown us, Councilman Jackson, that leaves a lot for me, a citizen, to say, I trust that you will do the right thing, regardless of how the language is brought before me. See, I can dress it up too to dress it down, but it don't always call it a sale. This indeed was not a sale. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Alvin Oliver.
Afternoon, Council. Alvin Oliver. First of all, I want to say, I totally do believe Chairman Green had no ill will in what he was doing. I do believe he did what he thought was in the best interest of those folks. But I'll say what I said at the press conference. And maybe this is a totally different thing for a totally different time. My thought was, like John Glover just said, we talked about how right after, not long after you folks took office, you gave a 13% raise. Folks turned around and got another raise. And I said to Chairman Green at the press conference, although I believe he had good intention, my thought was that the city council staff already makes a wonderful income. So my thought was, what about those people that swing on the back of a garbage truck all day in 110-degree heat? What about those people that's working for the roads and the streets, that sit out there and pave our asphalts on these roads, that work in 110, 109-degree heat? Wouldn't they be better served? These people barely make enough to feed their family. How much does it take to feed 4 people, a four-family household? These people are making less than $15 an hour. The council staff is making $85,000 to $100,000 an hour. That's a wonderful income for the city of Shreveport. And not to take anything away, Councilman Green said, how do you put value on good work? Well, you can't really put value on good work, but for people that's already making a wonderful salary versus those people who are barely above the poverty level, what about we take that $75,000 or whatever amount it is and distribute it amongst those people who barely make a livable wage? And that's my thought on the matter.
And I appreciate that. And I didn't want to get into the whys of the raise, because the purpose of this meeting was simply to establish if the chairman had authorization to initiate the raise, not whether or not they deserved it, not about the amounts, but simply to document the process, and if he followed the process as those have followed in the past. And then we need to develop a clearer process to make sure whoever is a city council chairman, that they are able to follow that process and it's clear. So the purpose of this meeting, again, was to establish if he had the authority to do what he did, not addressing the whys. Are there any other comments? John Settle.
John Settle, 4 Tealwood. You mentioned that your statement and the documents have been made public. I would appreciate, to my knowledge, they have not, other than the fact that my friend Ms. Glover received some copies. I would request that your written statement that you read and the attachments do be released to the public. And that means me and any other members of the media.
It has been submitted in the press release.
Well, where is the press release?
It's via email.
To who?
So to the media.
Well, I'm the media, and I usually get press releases. I hadn't gotten it yet.
Might have been oversight. You might have been left off the email. We'll get it corrected. Thank you, sir.
I will get it and I'll publish it. So you can leave me off a list anytime you want to, but it doesn't work. Thank you.
It might have been oversight. No harm, no foul. Thank you, sir. All right, so we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting so we get ready for council. Thank you.